According to Carl Jung, nothing in the universe is accidental. The people we encounter and the events that unfold in our lives are all reflections of our inner world. In this video, we will dive deeper into the law of resonance, explore whom we meet and why, and examine the meaning these encounters carry in our lives. First, there are no coincidences. Carl Jung, who maintained that nothing in the universe is mere chance, did not believe that the people we run into are simply the result of randomness. For him, every meeting is an expression of spiritual resonance. An unseen connection that binds us operates in an already established order deep within the subconscious. People, events, and every moment that touches our lives are part of something larger, something our conscious mind cannot fully perceive. Beyond time, space, and circumstances, every interaction happens in response to an inner call. Each person we meet is a reflection of our inner reality. Sometimes that reflection points to a lack, and other times it reveals a sense of wholeness. Even when these encounters appear simple or insignificant on the surface, they are, in truth, unavoidable pauses on our spiritual path. Jung's concept of synchronicity helps us grasp the meaning behind these seemingly random happenings. Synchronicity is the occurrence of two events that are meaningfully connected without any physical cause and effect relationship. So, meeting someone is not just an external event, it is also an echo of an inner vocation. The moments we label as coincidences are often the moments when life's deeper essence quietly winks at us. The universe continually arranges meetings that match the purity of our soul, even when we are not aware of it. That is why no one enters our life by accident. Every encounter is a visible expression of an inner process. No true meeting is ordinary. Each one belongs to a wider pattern, a larger tapestry in which our spiritual development is woven stitch by stitch. Second, what is the law of resonance? The law of resonance is based on the idea that everything in the universe radiates vibration and purity. When combined with Carl Jung's psychological insights, this law suggests that a person's inner purity draws specific people and specific events into the external world. The human mind is nourished not only by conscious thoughts, but also by deeply rooted unconscious beliefs, suppressed emotions, and traces of past experiences. These deeper vibrations form the foundation of the law of resonance. Whatever frequency our inner state vibrates at, external events compatible with that vibration will inevitably be drawn into our lives. Unconscious fears, desires, or hopes become invisible threads, subtle webs of relationships we weave around ourselves, often without realizing it. The law of resonance rests on the principle that energies vibrating at the same frequency attract one another, just as two sound waves of the same frequency merge and produce a stronger vibration. In this sense, the people we meet are not merely external beings, but mirrors of our inner world. When we attract someone into our life, we are, in a real way, discovering a part of our inner condition in their personality, behavior, or presence. This law also reveals that spiritual growth is always reciprocal. When we touch the lives of others, they, in turn, reflect unseen aspects of ourselves. Therefore, every person who appears in our life is a response to the purity we radiate, whether on a conscious or subconscious level. Understanding the law of resonance helps us gain deeper awareness, not only of our relationships, but also of our inner landscape. Because real change does not come from rearranging external conditions, but from transforming our internal vibration. Living with this understanding allows us to approach human relationships more wisely, uncovering the hidden meaning within encounters. Third, the meaning of meetings. In Jung's view, every encounter is not simply a coincidence, but an outward expression of our inner world. Each person fulfills a certain function in our life. These people teach us something, not only through their existence, but through their behavior, their words, and their presence. Meeting a person is far more than observing them from the outside. Jung describes the process of individuation, which is a core principle of his analytical psychology. Through encounters, through people and events and the experiences we come across, we must extract lessons in order to reach our true self. These meetings become opportunities that support our spiritual growth. Sometimes the person we meet introduces us to a side of ourselves. Perhaps they illuminate an inner quality we had not noticed before. At other times, encounters with difficult people create conflict that is necessary for growth. Such meetings reveal our emotional reactions, fears, and limitations. In reality, they allow us to explore ourselves more deeply. Every encounter can also be seen as a kind of reflection. People, like mirrors, reflect hidden parts of our inner world, repressed emotions or suppressed thoughts. Instead of avoiding these reflections or being consumed by them, it is important to accept them and uncover their meaning, which is an essential part of our path of individuation. Bringing someone into our life reveals not only the existence of that person, but also the deepest and perhaps most secret corners of our inner world. The people we meet can become companions and guides in our inner journey. Yet sometimes those we encounter can also become obstacles to personal development. But this too has meaning. Such encounters, like difficult lessons, can transform us. By understanding the deeper meaning behind problems and conflicts, we can become stronger and more conscious. According to Jung, relationships we build with people who do not harmonize with our inner world are, in a certain sense, sparks that awaken our spiritual energy. These encounters often open the door to growth and transformation, because sometimes only the most challenging and unpleasant people can bring real change and awareness into our lives. Every meeting carries an inner message, even if we do not realize it. That message may be a call to develop a new perspective, to break old patterns, or to overcome internal barriers. For example, meeting someone who is emotionally distant and constantly presents themselves as strong can actually be an opportunity to recognize our own vulnerabilities. Likewise, certain people who come into our lives may fill an emotional emptiness within us by expressing love and compassion. As a result, every person we meet is both a teacher and an archetype on our spiritual path. The ability to understand the meaning of these meetings not only shapes individual consciousness, but also helps us recognize universal connection, our shared foundation with humanity. People and experiences are tools that help us understand ourselves as a whole and ultimately reveal ourselves more deeply. Fourth, the unconscious and attraction. In Jungian psychology, the unconscious is not merely a place where forgotten memories or suppressed emotions are stored. It is a profound and dynamic aspect of the human psyche. Jung emphasized that the unconscious is one of the cornerstones of analytical psychology, and he argued that the forces formed in this realm shape how individuals interact with the external world. The unconscious often operates like an invisible power, leaving the traces in our lives that we may not even suspect. These unconscious forces are a collection of inner motives such as emotions, beliefs, desires, and fears. Many people view the unconscious only as a storage space for negative, suppressed memories. But in Jung's understanding, the unconscious is also a source of creative and transformative energy. It is not only hidden in the darker corners of the inner world, it also carries the potential to accelerate personal development. Within the framework of the law of resonance, the role of the unconscious is extremely important, because the vibrations of our inner world shape the people and events around us. A person radiates spiritual vibrations outward, whether they are aware of it or not. These vibrations create a force that can attract or repel others. Jung described this as symbolic attraction. Whatever emotions, beliefs, or traumas we focus on internally, we draw into our lives people with similar energy. It works like a magnet pulling like poles. Yet this attraction is not only about simple physics, it is also the result of resonance on psychological and spiritual levels. Attraction occurs through the powerful influence of the subconscious. Our inner wounds, fears, or suppressed desires cause us to notice similar traits in others. For example, a person who once believed their love was not valued may frequently encounter people who are hungry for love and emotionally distant. This situation becomes a kind of reflection of the unconscious. Our inner deficiencies transform into a search for completion in the external world. The gravitational pull of the unconscious affects more than individual behavior. It also appears in social relationships and group dynamics. When people gather, they are influenced not only by personal desires and conscious thoughts, but also by the collective unconscious. A community vibrates at a certain purity according to its collective unconscious drives, cultural patterns, and social norms. As a result, individuals are influenced by the whole, absorbing social structures, belief systems, and values. This unconscious force shapes a person's worldview, relationships, choices, and actions. Jung believed it guides people not only toward conscious decisions, but also toward self-discovery and spiritual growth. Therefore, each person we meet is a reflection of our inner world, and also a response to the deeper calls of our subconscious. The gravitational attraction of the unconscious can reveal not only the people around us, but also conflicts and unresolved issues within us. Each encounter may become an opportunity to face our shadow side, acknowledge inner shortcomings, and move toward a higher level of awareness. This is where Jung's concept of the shadow comes into play. A person may notice in others traits of themselves that they do not accept, suppress, or ignore. Such encounters give us a chance to confront the darker parts of the subconscious. People cannot reach full spiritual development without recognizing the shadow. That is why every person we meet can serve as a kind of teacher for our subconscious. This deepens the inner journey by introducing us to aspects of ourselves we do not consciously see. This force of attraction works not only personally, but also in a universal context. Each person reflects their own unconscious vibrations into the outer world. This, too, is part of universal resonance. Through this resonance, people and events come together, and every meeting makes it possible to find purpose in the universe. Fifth, encounters for spiritual growth. According to Jung, every meeting is not only a personal relationship, but also an opportunity for spiritual growth. The people who accompany us through different periods of life are not simply external interactions. They appear on our spiritual path as teachers, guides, and sometimes as obstacles that complicate our journey. Jung argued that the difficulties people face in the process of individuation are, in fact, an essential part of personal development. True spiritual growth does not happen only in easy and comfortable times, but also through confronting obstacles and inner conflict. Every encounter is a chance for change. It initiates spiritual evolution, sometimes challenging, sometimes energizing. As Jung explained, the shadow represents aspects of ourselves we do not acknowledge or recognize. Confronting these aspects is a crucial stage of spiritual growth. The shadow often reflects our most disturbing qualities, yet without facing it, we cannot reach true freedom or inner balance. One of the main barriers to spiritual growth is denying or ignoring the shadow. People we encounter often throw that shadow back at us, shining light on our inner darkness. Encounters that promote spiritual growth are directly tied to deepening individual consciousness. Each interaction can bring to the surface aspects of our personality we do not suspect, ignore, or deliberately suppress. These meetings can be seen as events that help a person know themselves and discover both limits and potential. Jung described this transformation as becoming a complete human being by integrating conscious and unconscious aspects, a process known as individuation. For a person to fully understand themselves and live in inner harmony, they must accept the past, traumas, and shadows. Spiritual growth begins within, not outside. People and experiences can become instruments of transformation. In other words, every person we meet is a significant milestone in our spiritual development. Sometimes these meetings have a shocking effect. Sometimes they are calming. In every case, they carry the teaching we need for growth. Another important point is that our relationships with others actually encourage us to seek a deeper self. Jung considered this not only an individual phenomenon, but also something that exists on a collective level. Individual spiritual growth influences the collective unconscious and creates transformation in society. When each person becomes aware of inner transformation, that transformation also shapes the world around them. When people face a difficult or disturbing situation, they often treat it as a threat. Jung, however, insisted that such situations are, in truth, opportunities for spiritual development. When we interpret emotionally challenging experiences as threats, we often miss what they offer. Emotional disturbances are important signals that push us to seek a deeper inner solution and allow the unconscious to reveal itself. A person's spiritual development is directly proportional to how boldly they step out of the comfort zone, confront difficulties, acknowledge shortcomings and limitations, and keep moving forward with awareness. In Jung's teaching, life's hardships serve as teachers. Meeting those teachers, though unpleasant, leads to genuine spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is possible not only by confronting inner conflict, but by learning from it. Every person and every experience is a meaningful milestone in our inner journey. Jung emphasized that we should treat every person and every situation we encounter as a teacher. Sometimes these teachers are difficult. Other times they are nurturing and inspiring. But in all cases, these encounters are inseparable from the process of spiritual growth. The inner journey becomes deeper with every person we meet, and more meaningful and enriching with every experience. Sixth, looking beyond coincidences. Within Jung's law of resonance, recognizing that no meeting in our life is accidental and that every event carries meaning is a vital part of spiritual evolution. This perspective requires moving beyond the idea of coincidence and developing a deeper understanding of life. Jung argued that coincidences only seem random at first glance. In reality, everything happens through resonance. Every meeting, every experience is connected in some way to our inner world. Becoming aware of this connection helps us make sense of life. Consciously looking beyond coincidences elevates us to a higher level of awareness. Accepting this viewpoint allows us to understand not only life, but also ourselves more deeply. As Jung said, coincidence is the language of the unconscious. In other words, every coincidence is a message, a warning sent to us by the subconscious. Looking beyond coincidences means seeking the deeper meanings behind them, rather than remaining with surface-level observations. Every person and every event exists to teach us something. This learning process is often shaped by how the unconscious functions. People project our inner conflicts, suppressed emotions, and unrealized aspects into the external world. The ability to notice these messages and interpret them is essential for spiritual development. The ability to see beyond coincidences also requires accepting the cyclical nature of life. Jung suggested that life unfolds through a kind of archetypal cycle. Recognizing that everything has a purpose and that each meeting has its place within this cycle supports spiritual maturity. Looking beyond coincidences helps us focus on these life cycles and their deeper meaning. Moving forward requires progress not only physically, but spiritually. Spiritual evolution asks us to treat every experience, every person we meet, and every event we witness as an opportunity to learn. Jung believed that to find meaning in life, a person must undertake their own inner journey. This inner journey is a fusion of conscious and unconscious levels of awareness. A person interacts both with events in the outer world and with energies in the inner world. In that interaction, understanding that every external event has an internal counterpart helps a person overcome obstacles on the path of spiritual development. To go beyond coincidences, we must focus on the profound link between the inner and outer worlds. The inner world is the source of everything reflected outward. Therefore, every event we experience mirrors our internal processes. Understanding this can give our life greater meaning. Looking beyond coincidences can raise awareness not only individually, but socially. By exploring the collective unconscious and archetypes, Jung identified common themes that apply to all humanity. These archetypes arise from shared human experience across communities and cultures, and represent motifs repeating throughout history. Each person is part of the collective unconscious, and there is a connection among these parts. When people encounter the same archetypal themes, these universal symbols expand individual consciousness. Looking beyond coincidences helps us recognize these universal connections and shared themes across human history. In this way, people not only take a personal journey, but also deepen their bond with humanity. Looking beyond coincidences allows us to understand life on a deeper level. Every meeting and every event carries meaning, and that meaning is one of the most powerful tools for personal development. Jung's teaching delivers a strong message. Every moment and every interaction is a teacher. Looking beyond coincidences not only helps us live more consciously, but also enables us to go deeper into our inner journey and truly understand ourselves. Realizing that everything happens through resonance allows a person to see not only their own life, but the universe as a whole, in a broader context. Ultimately, life is not woven from coincidences, but from meaningful connections. And that connection continues to exist as a product of our unconscious, universal energy and the collective unconscious. In this video, we take a deeper look at the law of resonance, explore whom we meet and why, and consider the significance of these encounters in our lives. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more content. If you'd like to support us with a contribution, you can become a member by clicking the Join button. Bye, and see you in the next video. Thank you.